My ideal gender affirming care as like a trans non-binary person is kind of weird. And the thing is that I love it. And I would love to get a single mastectomy. Yes, I want one boob. I want one boob and one no boob.
I mean, I'll take it. I can use the extra meat up here. Just when I think it could not get any more insane, it gets worse. Jeffrey Marsh is back and trying to pass off being creepy as spiritual.
A xeno-pronoun would be a word, I can't even say it, right? Because that's the point. They're unsayable and sort of effervescent and unknowable, kind of like a person's gender. That's why I love this one.
According to Jeffrey here, while we very well might not know a person's gender because gender can mean anything these days, one thing that we do know for sure is that these people are absolutely bizarre. They're nuts. Really, gender pronouns are so special. You can't even verbalize, you can't even say them. Is this similar to like 15 years ago when somebody knew about a band that no one else had heard of and they were cool and you weren't? My pronouns are so interesting, I bet you can't even say them. I bet you've never even heard of them.
Xeno-pronouns, perhaps one of the most beautiful concepts, one of the most poetic ways to approach this subject. Xeno-pronouns refers to any pronoun a person has that is unspeakable, that is unworkable in the language of a person.
Okay, so now we are purposefully making it more difficult for society to understand gender, even though gender really kind of doesn't make sense to begin with. Not only are we doing that, but we're also making it extremely complicated so that even if somebody can remember how somebody identifies and what pronouns to use, they're making sure you can no longer even pronounce it. For me, it's giving very, you're a racist teacher if you can't pronounce an Asian or black kid's name vibes. I mean, just saying.
You know, a xeno-pronoun would contain a set of letters that is a pronunciation that a human being can't pronounce. It's some sound that a human being can't pronounce. Or that a xeno-pronoun contains an image or a concept that it's alluding to that is actually something that language has no way to express.
This is nothing new, Jeffrey. Language can never fully express how somebody feels because everybody has different hormones, different ways of thinking, different ways of feeling. What we can do is use the words that we do have or create new ones to hopefully express how we feel the best way we can to help us understand each other more. But this ain't it. This is also not it. Yelling at people for misgendering you when you clearly come across as female.
Lie, lie, lie. I'm so what is your gender? Hey, lady, sexy lady. Where that butt going? Lady, come here, little girl.
He just assaulted me too. He just assaulted me too.
I really don't like talking about this kind of person as much as the narcissistic personality disorder kind of vibes because to me this person clearly comes across as not mentally well. I have a lot more to say about mental illness in this video, so make sure you stick around until the end. And before I go on, I wanted to say a big thank you to today's video's sponsor, Scentbird. Personally, I am very basic with the foods that I eat, but with the scents that I wear, I am very specific and I like to change it up based on the season. Sometimes my mood. I mean, I am a Cancerian. Scentbird is a fragrance subscription service with a mission to empower people through scent. You can sign up for just $17 a month and get brands like Gucci, Prada. You get to pick which one you want to try every month, but you can also upgrade and get 3 scents monthly. The name of this perfume is Juliet Has a Gun. It smells nice, but I don't know if it's a summer scent, so let me try my other one. Personally, I love when women can wear a both feminine or a masculine scent. Let me smell this one. Ooh, that's much more of a summery scent. Yes, much more fresh and clean. It's giving date night vibes in October, the other one. Every vial is a 30-day supply. Use the coupon code Ariel to get 55% off. It winds up being just a little over $7 for the first month. It's available in the US and Canada. If you want to check them out, please support companies that support this channel. Free speech, free ideas, free expression. Click the link in the description below. And now back to the video.
My ideal gender affirming care as like a trans non-binary person is kind of weird. And the thing is that I love it. And I would love to get a single mastectomy. Yes, I want one boob. I want one boob and one no boob. And then I want to like wear some like strange clothes that I made myself that'll like cover the boob part and then just let my other non-boob out in the open. So people are just looking at me like,
See, this is a major red flag to me. Part of actually being transgender is wanting to assimilate to the best of your ability into society as the sex or gender that you feel, whatever that even means. I don't know any sane, rational transgender person that wants to make it obvious that they're transgender. Also, changing your gender and the way you present to society isn't meant to be a you. It's meant to be an I love you to yourself for living your best life, how you feel best, if that is what you truly need.
But I also want to have a kid. Wouldn't it be so cool to be a trans guy who just has a kid? Like, you, you know? Like, and the thing is that I have done a lot of work of degendering my body, like looking at myself in the mirror and being like, this body is not a girl body.
But it is a girl body. Girl, you're gaslighting yourself. It is okay to be a female and be transgender. It is okay to be a male and be transgender, meaning having gender dysphoria, transitioning in some way. It is not okay to lie to yourself. How in the hell can you work on your mental and physical and emotional even truth if you are not even starting out being honest?
You have to hate yourself. Hate yourself or you're not transgender. Which is such a flawed way of looking at it. Transgender people shouldn't have to hate themselves to be trans. Being transgender for me is more about the euphoria I get when I feel like myself and when other people perceive me in the way that aligns with my self-image, rather than like all over myself because I'm a terrible person who looks ugly and I'll never pass.
I think it's very possible that they just said the quiet part out loud. No, you shouldn't hate yourself for being trans if that's what you are. But of course, I also don't think it's okay to hate yourself for being ugly and not passing. I think that you should focus on the things that make you feel good about yourself.
For one, passing is not something I'm interested in. I know a lot of trans people do want to pass, and that's totally fine.
Of course, that's not something that you're interested in. All right, next.
I am not, sir. Do you want to say that to the camera? Hundreds and hundreds of people watching you?
Me right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, no.
No, go ahead. You just called me a man. Don't be a coward. Don't be a coward. Yeah, you're a coward. Come on over. Say what you got to say to me. Oh, you don't want to call me a man to my face? Come on over. What do you got to say? What do you got to say about transgender people?
I didn't know you were trans.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know you was trans.
Go ahead.
I did not know this man was trans. Wait, what do you go by? What do you go by?
Does it matter?
It does, because I'm asking you.
Why are so many young black kids way more based than the majority of white kids? Like, honest, serious question. I want you guys to answer in the comments why you think that is the case for the most part. If you guys remember back a few weeks ago during the New York City Pride Parade, most of the people that I interviewed happened to be Hispanic or black. It's just how it went that day. And pretty much 100% of them were over this woke bullshit or were never for it in the first place.
And is y'all thing a cult? It's like LGBTTTL cult or something?
I mean, where's the lie though? Let's be real. If these kids saw me walking with my girlfriend down the street, being a regular lesbian, do you think that they would say the same thing about us? Would they view us also as a cult? Or is it because of people like this who make a habit of filming people who they feel are harassing them, even though they would probably just go on their way and walk away if they didn't film them and threaten to show them to hundreds of people online, thus getting them doxxed, harassed, fired from their jobs, whatever. And this isn't the first time this person has filmed themselves doing something like this either.
You know I'm a TERF, right? Trans-eccentric radical feminist.
Are you a TERF?
I'm a TERF.
Wow.
Would you like me to move somewhere else? I will.
No, actually, you should tell me about being a TERF.
You're
Yes.
a boy, right? Don't with me, because honestly, I did hard.
I'd like to see you try.
There is no way to tell how this started because the video just starts where it starts. But in my opinion, this is actually not a good look for this supposed TERF. If people are just simply existing without hurting anybody else, let them be. This trans woman or actual trans woman is not intruding in your space. At least from the video, it doesn't seem that way. They are just existing in the world.
If that's what you want, to be who you want to be, then I get to be who I want to be.
Which is...
I'm not a witch. Take your stupid dog, eat your food, and get the out of my life, okay?
This is a first.
Because otherwise I have to label you a white racist
I see.
for a 70-year-old minority woman. You're a racist. You want your rights? I want mine too.
Also hilarious that this person is probably like 70 and knows that she can pull the race card if this person decides to pull the trans card. Again, not okay to harass a random person like this, but also probably not okay to film somebody that just doesn't know any better and threaten them with it. But I can understand where the frustration with all of this is coming from. What this all really boils down to is an extreme amount of mental illness in society these days. And unfortunately, most of it we haven't found the right way to treat it yet. I found this video about about mass psychosis called How an Entire Population Becomes Mentally Ill. I highly suggest you watch this video as soon as this video is over. It mentions a few really important key points. One being a quote from Carl Jung, a Swiss psychologist, and he said, "It is not famine, not earthquakes, not microbes, not cancer, but man himself who is man's greatest danger to man. For the simple reason that there is no adequate protection against psychic epidemics which are infinitely more devastating than the worst of natural catastrophes."
Two examples of mass psychoses are the American and European witch hunts of the 16th and 17th centuries, and the rise of totalitarianism in the 20th century. During the witch hunts, thousands of individuals, mostly women, were killed, not for any crimes they committed, but because they became the scapegoats of societies gone mad. When a mass psychosis occurs, the results are devastating. Jung studied this phenomenon and wrote that the individuals who make up the infected society become morally and spiritually inferior. They sink unconsciously to an inferior intellectual level. They become more unreasonable, irresponsible, emotional, erratic. Crimes the individual alone could never stand are freely committed by the group smitten by madness.
If this all doesn't sound familiar, let me refresh your memory just a little bit. J.K. Rowling being harassed, threatened, followed, stalked for not committing any actual crimes. People being fired, outcast from society, bullied, threatened, physically harmed because they refuse to go along with what the mob says is right at that moment. There's a reason why we have been calling all of this crazy shit that's been happening over the past few years witch hunts. What has caused all of this?
Psychogenic triggers, as these are the most common culprits of the mass psychosis. The most prevalent psychogenic cause of a psychosis is a flood of negative emotions, such as fear or anxiety, that drives an individual into a state of panic.
Feeling like you're not good enough and then blaming other people for your own self-esteem issues. Claiming that everyone and everything is a literal threat to our society and democracy. Black versus white, men versus women, cis versus trans, gay versus straight. All of these things are used to scare us more, to divide us more. Who else is out there to get us? Type of shit. All of these things and tons more are things that I've covered on this channel for the last 4 years or so. And a lot of this has come from the far left and the far right. To me, it's quite obvious that the types of people usually associated with this side of things or this way of thinking are usually on the far left, but not always. It's not the type of mental illness that has been associated with the LGBT community for the better part of the last 50 years. It's not depression and anxiety. Those mental illnesses are both biological and societal, and in some cases, actual homophobia is the root cause. But now, this is a whole other level of insanity that's going on. Siblings trans women claiming to get periods and threatening and harassing and doxing doctors for not giving them vaginal exams when they don't have a vaginal canal. Claiming that there are hundreds of gender identities. Propping up pedophiles and calling them maps because it's less offensive to those people. The gays were not always like this.
I mean, we've been called, you've heard it, we've been called Nazis all day, TERFs, what else? They're transphobes. Transphobes, they'll call you any name in the book, and that's just meant to discredit you so that nobody listens to what you have to say, because what we're actually saying is completely logical and moderate, you know, but now they've moved the Overton window so much that they look at us as the radicals just because we don't accept all of this madness immediately.
And just to be clear, you identify as lesbian and you identify as gay.
Yeah.
And
at least not straight.
And those folks over there, they're against you as well.
Yeah, we're old news. You know, we're old news. We don't matter anymore. We're not trendy enough.
Yeah, we're not plus enough.
Yeah.
There was a time where we truly did accept people for thinking differently. When if you voted Republican, you can still show up at a pride parade. I mean, now I go and I have to look over my shoulder because even if I am not wearing my, you know, Biden sucks hat or whatever, I know people are gonna know who I am. I get a little nervous, I'm not gonna lie. Honestly, what have we all become? I get so angry when people constantly tell me online that I'm the one that's changed. Really? Honestly, is it really me that's changed? When was actual liberalism for threatening and harassing people that think and live differently than you? When was liberalism anti-science and pro-made-up bullshit propaganda just to validate people's feelings?
They claim that they are a part of us, but most of the people over there are straight.
Yeah, it's about identity. I mean, they did the study where like 80%, 70 or 80% of teenage girls that identify as bisexual or non-binary actually don't change any of their behavior. So it's really about like an identity prescription, which I think a lot of it had to do with 2020 and the lockdowns and people not wanting to maybe be a little white girl instead. So they get to like be something else, you know, they get to be a protected class, a minority group.
I mean, when you sit back and think about all this, it's really quite obvious why so many people are attracted to this concept, this type of ideas. Why is the victim status so attractive to people? My friend Zuby summed it up best in this tweet. If you're confused by why victim mentality is so attractive, number one, it provides a permanent alibi for personal failures. Number two, it attracts attention. Number three, generates sympathy. Number four, it acts as a social currency with like-minded people. Yeah. They're creating another hierarchy chart. I've said this before. Number five, it disguises negative traits and actions as virtues. We do that in slam poetry when somebody says something really amazing. We go like that. That's not the, I'm triggered when somebody claps. That's the slam poetry yes kid. I feel like this is one of my best videos in a while, so if you guys enjoyed this, please give it a big thumbs up and make sure you share the content. If you are not subscribed, do that now. And also a big thank you again to our sponsor of this video, Scentbird. You can click the link in the description below. Remember to use my code Ariel for 55% off your very first month. Other than that, I will see you guys back here next Sunday with a brand new video. Until then, I love you, love yourselves, keep calling out the bullshit. Bye!